What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Classic Octane. I am Taylor. Today we are going back to my roots and getting an old piece of junk Honda running again. Well, hopefully that's the plan. I'm not ready to announce the new build yet, and we are waiting for parts on the Paris-Dakar bike, so I found myself with a day or two to spare. What better way to spend it than getting an old hunk of junk hopefully running again. This will be my first time working on a bike on the lift with our new shop configuration, so I'm curious to see how it flows. Check our oil here. There's a little bit in the bottom of the tank, but definitely you'll need to add some before we turn the engine over too much. Double check our oil lines here, because these 750s have a tendency to rupture sometimes if they're sitting for a long time. These look fine. We'll just have to keep an eye on them once they get pressure in them, assuming we can get this thing to run. You know, it's not unheard of to have them split. The engine does turn over. I kicked it over before I brought it in here. I can hear some puffs, so at least one cylinder has compression. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and put some oil in here. And I want to hook up our electric start. I'll probably have to just kind of hot wire that because I don't know how much of the factory electrical stuff still exists. And I want to see if this will turn over with the electric starter. I'll put some oil in it, so what I'm going to do now is just check our electric starter in the way that you should never do. She works. Perfect. So I don't have any coils, so I'm going to need to rummage through my parts upstairs and go see if I can find any classic Honda coils I think should work, 550 or 750. So let me dig around and see what I got. The benefit of being a motorcycle parts hoarder is I have not one but two complete sets of ignition coils to try out. Only downside to doing this is I actually don't know if either one of these are good. It would be a little bit smarter to kind of install a known good set of coils, but we'll burn that bridge when we get to it. So I'm going to go ahead and hook this up with the existing wiring we have. I might cut some of it out and just kind of hot wire this, so to speak, so we don't have to worry about anything to do with factory ignition or any of that. All we want to do is make sure our coils have power and ground, and then of course our signal from our points. We'll yank out a spark plug, turn it over, see if we get lucky. If not, we can keep diving in. I have everything hot wired up here, so I basically just have the coils. There's only a couple of connections for your coils. Yellow and blue go down to your points, and then black with a white stripe is 12 volt, normally key on, or I should say kill switch on power. Right now I just took the red that would go straight to the ignition switch, teed that off to directly power our coils anytime that the battery has power. So the coils are on right now. Say if the bike was running, I needed to kill it, I just need to unplug that plug right there. I also went ahead and hooked up my little trigger here to turn the engine over. So we got that. We are ready to test spark. So I went ahead and just pulled out the spark plug. It looks pretty crusty. This is number one, not that it really matters. We're just gonna kind of place it up against a good ground here and see what we got. There is actually a faint spark. Nice. Let's try another one. So number one in theory is good. No idea, this is either going to be 2 or 3. Got to double check all these and make sure they're tight in the boots, but not seeing anything on this one. Let's keep going. What is this? This is number 3, does not have a boot yet, and number 4 doesn't have a boot. So let me throw some spark plug boots on these other ones. Got some boots on here now. So let's keep testing. This is going to be number 3. Nothing on number 3. I believe this is going to be number 4. Or is this number 4? That's number 2. Okay, so this is number 4. Nothing. What I want to try is swapping the boot from 1 to 4, because this is a 5K ohm resistance boot, and I'm not sure that these other ones are. I'm going to see if that makes any difference for what we're doing here. Now we have spark again. So either this boot is bad, which I can measure and see, or it really wants some 5K resistance boots. Let me pull one more boot off this coil. This one doesn't say that it has resistance built in. Let's try it back on number 1. Yeah, okay, so now we have spark on 1 and 4. Let me try this boot on 2 and 3. If not, that's not entirely uncommon. So in classic Hondas, one of these coils runs cylinder 1 and cylinder 4. The other coil runs 2 and 3. So we could have a problem with just one of our coils or just one of our sets of points, because the same thing. They're 1 and 4 are basically one system, 2 and 3 are a completely separate system. So 1 and 4 are testing good at the moment. This should be 3. Let's try it with the known good boot. See what that does for us, if anything. Nothing. So my gut is we either have a problem with that coil, which is the one closest to me, or the points. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the point cover off. Let's see what it looks like. See what everything looks like under here. Looks like it's in pretty good shape. Okay, this is the 2 and 3 side. Let me disconnect the power so I don't have to worry about anything. Yeah, there's a little spot on there. Let me grab my file. We'll kind of file that point down a little bit. This shouldn't take much. Just trying to take off that little bit of corrosion. What do you say we grab one of these spark plugs again and just see if maybe that was enough? Hook my power back up. We're gonna try number 2 first. There's a spark, but man, is it faint. Oof, it is definitely not a strong spark. Let's try number 3. See if that's any different. We're getting spark on 3 now. I think that was enough. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and pull out the 3 remaining spark plugs. I wanna test all of the spark plugs all plugged into the boots at once, just to make sure we are getting spark across all 4. And then it'll be time to spray some Go Juice down the carbs and see if we get some pops and bangs. Have all the spark plugs out. Now we can test them all individually, so we're just gonna go one by one. That one's got a good spark. That one does too. Three for 3, come on baby. 4 for 4. I'm ready to install these back, plug everything in, see if we get some pops. We are officially ready to try this thing for the first time with some carb cleaner just sprayed into the cylinders. Just try to get a little bit in each one. We're in neutral, we got oil. Let's see what happens. Power hooked up. You try to get on this side so I can try and modulate the throttle a little bit. Oh yes! I do my evil laugh every time. Let's do it. Okay, see if we can get it to do it some more. Throttle got stuck on something. That sounds pretty healthy too. I mean, as much as you can tell for 1 second of running. Sweet. Now, we need to pull those carbs off, clean them out, see if we can get this thing to run for a bit longer. Got the carbs over here on the bench. I'm not trying to do a full rebuild on these. Just want to pull them apart and see what they're looking like in here. Not terrible. Keep going, pull them all off. So they all definitely have some dust and stuff in here, but truth be told, really not terrible. I'm gonna go ahead and pull out all the jets, just make sure they're clear, and then I'm just gonna blow all these passages out with some aerosol carb cleaner. I'm not gonna do a full ultrasonic clean. Again, the idea here is that we're just confirming that this engine is nice and healthy, get it to the point where it'll run and idle and rev up, and then the next owner can kind of go as far as they'd like on a rebuild. The main jets look good. Well, even these secondaries aren't clogged. I think this bike, that one's clogged. The fuel in this bike was probably drained before it sat. Otherwise, there'd be a ton of varnish in here. Not terrible. All right. Well, I'm going to keep pulling these apart. Probably go ahead and pull out the needle and seat and everything too. Just give everything a good kind of blowout with that aerosol carb cleaner like I mentioned. Also, my air hose. Make sure all these jets and passageways and everything are clear. And we'll be able to just throw these back on the bike, hook up my auxiliary fuel tank, see if we can get this thing to run and stay running. Curbs are all cleaned up. Put them back on the bike. We're ready to turn on the fuel. Just got obviously my auxiliary tank. I have a few CB750 gas tanks. I'll probably sell one with this bike just so the next person has one. But none that are ready to go to put fuel in right now. Cool. Just double checking, making sure there's no big leaks or anything. All seems to be going well. Let's go ahead and hook up our power. Cool. Coils are still powered, so when it's running, to shut it off, just unplug this. I could probably unplug just about any of these things and it would shut off, but all right, we're ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and give it a choke. Let's see how she do. I think I might have overfilled the oil a little bit. I guess all of it was in the sump, because as soon as I revved it up, it started coming out of this overflow. Started making a mess. But hey, better to have too much oil than not enough. But dang, dude, the thing runs pretty darn great. I have absolutely no idea how long this thing has been sitting, because I bought it in this condition, like I said, probably close to 2 years ago. And I don't know how long it was sitting before that. Let me drain some of this oil out, get it to a proper level, and then I'm going to start it up again. Got the mess cleaned up, and I got a little jug to catch our excess oil, so should be good to go. I think I disconnected anything. Well, I'm going to classify that as an absolute win. I mean, I did almost nothing to bring this bike back to life, which is awesome. I mean, these classic Hondas, 9 out of 10 of them just want to run. I mean, all we did, if you really think about it, we filed one set of points, we put a coil in, cleaned out the carbs, threw some oil in it, fired the thing up. You know, I had to do my little kind of hot wiring just to bypass the factory wiring. And honestly, the factory wiring may even work. I just didn't want to mess with it. So what I'm probably going to do off camera is test that factory wiring just to see if I can get it to the point where it will start and kill with the handlebar control, just so that when I go to sell this thing, probably in a couple of days, it'll be really easy for me to fire it up and shut it off for the prospective buyer. So that's the only thing I'm gonna kind of change from its current setup, but this is exactly what I wanted to do, is just verify that it runs well, it ran on all 4 cylinders, there wasn't a huge plume of smoke, you know, it's got good compression, all of the important things that somebody's gonna care about to start this project. I can, you know, safely say this thing is good to go. This is in fact a good bike to fully build. It's going to need to be completely disassembled if you want it to look good, but at its heart it is a good solid running bike. So that's going to be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed this kind of random will it run video. I know you guys weren't expecting to see another classic Honda on the channel for a while, but I had an extra day to sneak this one in, and I'm glad we did, because it was a heck of a lot of fun. So soon enough, you guys will see the new full build revealed. It is not a classic Honda, I promise. I do still have a couple of kind of bigger shop projects to do around with our reorganization. My new toolbox and stuff is on the way, so we got a lot of content coming in a couple of weeks. I appreciate you guys watching as always, and I'll catch you on the next one.